Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Play Super Meat Boy. We're going to be doing something a little bit differently today. We're going to be playing Teh Internets, which is the downloadable content section. Everything in here is free, but to unlock it, you've got to get 20 bandages first. Right now, there's only one extra world, Butcher Boy, consisting of 20 extra levels, but I have it on good authority that the developers are planning on releasing at least 2 to 3 more worlds before Christmas. So, you know, they're being quite altruistic here. But I'm not going to talk too much about these levels. I'm just going to let you enjoy watching them. I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys were nice enough and thoughtful enough to bring up when I asked in my last video. So this will be kind of like a get to know your commentator bit. I wanted to say get to know Northernlion, but let's just go with get to know Ryan, because that's my real name. There's one question answered already. Aristaurus asks, how old are you? Pardon if that sounds too personal, but by your voice, you sound between 25 and 30. Well, no offense taken, but I am not between 25 and 30. I am actually only 21, soon to be 22, so you're not too far off. Yeah, like I said, no offense taken. The fact that I sound oftentimes upwards of 40, I've heard people say, is something that I've heard people say ever since I was 15. So what can I say? Puberty hit me like a ton of bricks, I guess. It was funny when I used to be 15, 16, playing on Xbox Live, and all these 12-year-old kids on Halo 2 would accuse me of being a 40-year-old guy living in my parents' basement, when actually I was just in 11th grade. Anyway, and also that is not too personal of a question. What was too personal of a question was the one guy who asked me if I'd ever fuck a tranny. No offense to the transgender community who may be watching, it's just kind of an inappropriate question for me to answer in these videos, I think. McGuffey asks, what part of Canada do you live in, and do you enjoy it there? I live in the small city, let's say, of Kingston, Ontario, Canada, and actually kind of do enjoy it. I think it's got good things and bad things about it, as does Canada in general. It's got kind of like a small city feel, so it doesn't have a whole lot to do, but, you know, there's also none of the problems that come with a huge city, like there's not that much traffic, not that much crime, etc. So yeah, it's quite nice. It fits my laid-back personality pretty well. Plus, it's a big college town. I actually went to university here. So, lots of people my own age to interact with. Shino1347 asks, what is my job? And actually, a lot of people ask this. It's kind of a sore spot. Right now, I'm actually gainfully unemployed. But I'm unemployed with a purpose, and give me a chance to explain that. I graduated from university in April, and then I took a summer job basically as an insurance salesman. And when I left that job, at the end of July, I left with the intention of gaining employment in an Asian country teaching English as a second language. I'm happy to report that I did secure a position, so as of December 1st, I am an English as a second language teacher in South Korea. So yeah, I won't be in Canada for too much longer. Be Creative asks, do you like StarCraft 2? And you might have guessed by the fact that I'm going to South Korea that I would love StarCraft 2, but I actually have not played it. Played a lot of StarCraft 1 when I was younger, and was fucking horrible at it, as I am at basically every real-time strategy game. The closest I come to playing real-time strategy games is basically Civilization 4. That's about as much as my brain can handle. So no, I've not played it, I do not like it, I guess. I respect it, it's probably a great game, but it's just not up my alley. He also asks, what's the best sandwich? It's kind of a sore spot for me because I've recently turned vegetarian, so I'm really lamenting the lack of good vegetarian sandwiches. It seems like everything is just hummus, and you know, hummus is good and all, but doesn't necessarily compare to a BLT. But when I did eat meat, my favorite sandwich was probably a Montreal smoked meat sandwich, preferably from a deli in Montreal where they piled the meat, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches high, and just served you with a tiny, or an enormous actually, kosher dill pickle on the side that was really fantastic. Third question, I promise the last one from him, is, have you ever eaten a poutine, and did you enjoy it? As a Canadian who lives east of Manitoba, I guess, I do not know anybody who has not eaten a poutine. I've had several in my life. I've actually had 1 or 2 within the last week. For anyone who's not familiar, the poutine is a quintessentially Canadian dish consisting of French fries and gravy and cheese curds. Super delicious, and yeah, ultimate drunk food and ultimate hangover food as well. So highly recommended. I don't understand why it hasn't taken off in America. Even though you guys have things like the Famous Bowl, which is actually kind of similar, although it has corn in it. Anyway, I'm digressing here. Someone should open up a poutine restaurant in America. You'd make millions. The Wetter L asks, favorite movie, book, and game. I'm gonna keep this short, because on each of these I could ramble on for, upwards of 20 minutes. My favorite movie of all time is probably Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. Just a really funny and touching and honest look at what people go through when there's a breakup of a really close romantic relationship. My favorite book is The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. It's a non-fiction book that came out in the 70s and really served to revolutionize the field of evolutionary biology, and I am trained as a biologist, technically. My favorite game is a very tough question, but I'm gonna have to go with Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. I think it's just the perfect platformer, the best platformer ever made. Also a huge fan of the entire Mega Man series, mostly the originals, so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 10 as well. More recently, played a lot of Super Smash Bros. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and a ton of the Rock Band series, so they might not be as artistic, but they're fun, so who cares? How much would I have to pay you to be the narrator of my life? You know what? For this one, make me an offer. I'm sure I could probably secure 6 figures, so make sure it's competitive. Maybe I won't be going to South Korea after all. I'll just get a career as a professional life narrator. MattyBear87 asks, do you love The Office? Yes and no. I watched the first 4 seasons pretty religiously, and then just kind of fell off the wagon. I haven't seen too much of it recently. I've caught the occasional episode. I don't like it as much, but it's still okay. I wonder how they're gonna do now that Steve Carell's gone. Vice Verse asks, what do you think your next Let's Play will be? Very good question. I've got a lot of ideas percolating in my head right now. Most of them revolve around retro games, and particularly I want to do some co-commentary. So, you notice I tried to get a Castle Crashers one off the ground, but I ran into some technical difficulties. I really, really want to do that, and I have big plans for that, including actually getting the audio synced up, which will be nice, but also using 4 commentators instead of 2. Which hopefully will be less messy and more funny. That's my hope anyway, but we'll see. Also really want to do a Turtles in Time Let's Play, and that I hope will come out sooner rather than later. But, again, anything that comes out either on 360 on disc or on the Xbox Live Arcade between now and when I actually decide what to do next could completely change my mind and usurp the ideas that I have right now, because I really like doing newer games because it gives me the opportunity to perhaps sway people's opinions. So if the game is not so good, I can maybe save people some money, and if the game is really good, then I can convince them to make a purchase they might otherwise not have. John Spin asks, what capture card do you use? I use a Dazzle DVC 100. I would recommend it. It's a very cheap capture card. I got it for about $45 at Best Buy, 45 Canadian dollars, so $2 American dollars basically. Yeah, and relatively few compatibility issues, which is nice with Windows 7. Finally, me12456 asked if I'm married. No, but let's say I'm taking applications. Thanks, guys.